What made the high school legend become a legend? The senior class was gathered in the gym for a pep rally type event, but there weren't any planned events, so we students were getting bored and restless. In an effort to engage us, teachers offered to let kids tell jokes into the microphone. The very first guy that goes to the microphone triumphantly asks, "How deep are we gonna go, men?" And every male as the stands shouted back, "Gonads deep. How deep? Gonads deep." The call and response quickly ended when the teachers swarmed him and took away the microphone. Jokes were over for the day. Later in the year they hold another senior event in the gym, but instead of jokes they let kids sing karaoke. Fun. Until the microphone goes missing between songs. Everyone is seated in the stands when that same guy stands up just laughing his ass off because someone handed him the microphone. The teachers say, "Don't," and he just keeps laughing. He manages to ask a single question into the microphone: "How deep?" For the first time I understood school pride as 900 students, even the girls, joined in shouting, "Gonads deep, legend." Long story short, jerk of a substitute wouldn't let a heavily pregnant girl use the restroom, and she had to go to the nurse then the doctors afterwards, enraging entire graduating class of the girl. Substitute quits after 3 weeks of open season on him, with him giving this speech of how we're all ungrateful and how we've made him regret ever wanting to be a teacher. According to my little brother, who is currently at that school, it's still talked about because the faculty put in a rule that a teacher cannot prevent a pregnant student from going to the restroom. This guy didn't become a high school legend until the last 10 minutes of our last day at school. I went to school with this kid for 5 years who, throughout all of high school, was bullied for the way he looked, considered a teacher's pet, generally unpopular with most of the school, etc. No one knew much about him at all, apart from the reasons he was, unfortunately, bullied and ostracized so hard. On the last day of our final year at high school, we had a leavers ceremony where teachers gave speeches, students were given awards, etc. Typical painstaking sit down for 2 hours while you watch all the accomplished sports kids drown in trophies ceremony. Out of nowhere, the principal introduced a performance from this kid, the notorious unpopular teacher's pet. We were all so confused, what could he possibly be performing? He got up on our school's theater stage as if he were to do a stand-up special. He then proceeded to perform a 10-minute long Adult Swim style sketch in which he did spot-on impressions of not only every single teacher in the school, in front of them, but the exam invigilators, the cleaners, and even the fucking dinner ladies. This guy had fully produced and scripted an entire one-man sketch where he played all the characters being every member of staff in the school, for the very last time we would all be in that hall together. It was truly a then everybody clapped moment IRL, as he got a standing ovation from every teacher in the hall, and all 120 students who relentlessly bullied him all these years prior. It felt like a massive middle finger to everyone who underestimated and ignored him. This mystery kid, who'd been bullied and ignored for his entire 5 years at our high school, became a legend within 10 minutes on the very last hour of the very last day of our time in that place, and then I never saw him again. Wonder where he is now. When I was a freshman, there was a senior on the last week of school who thought it would be legendary to streak on campus. He was 18. He was unable to receive his diploma on stage and had to register as a 6 offender. Go Wildcats! Edit, thanks guys for the upvotes and the awards. To add to this, I agree that his punishment was harsher than what seems fair. Taking away his ability to walk on stage in addition or community service would have been better. And in regards to where this occurred, this was in a suburban high school in Santa Clarita, north of Los Angeles. When I was in 11th grade, a guy a year older than me, in grade 12, saved a grade 9 girl from being abducted by her estranged father in the school parking lot. Her dad hadn't been in her life for years and had previously tried to take her from her elementary school. This being her first year in high school, I guess he tried again. The 12th grader heard her scream as her dad tried to force her into his car, and he ran over and got involved, apparently punching the dad before the dad got back in his car and sped off. Guy was a legit hero at the school. When I was a junior in HS, the wrestling team would hang out in the bathroom at lunch and pack lips in the stalls. There was a kid who was probably on the spectrum who'd also hang in the bathroom every day and eat his lunch there, so we befriended him and tried to give him some banter. I went to a midnight screening of Superbad, and the first time McLovin came on the screen I was like, my god, that looks just like a slightly skinnier version of Stall Kid. So the next day at school I saw him in the hall, and during our usual daps I was like, yo, it's McLovin. That caught on, and for the rest of his time in high school everyone called him McLovin. He liked it. Then he was voted prom king as a senior. Hope you're well, McLovin. Ite, holy shit guys. Thank you for all the amazing responses and the awards. You rock. We had a teacher who was infamous for not letting you go to the bathroom no matter what. I mean, so much so that if you accidentally started your period in class, she'd make you wait. This happened. So there was a girl who we'll call Katie in class, who tended to be a bit of a troublemaker. Katie hated that teacher, because she'd begged to go to the bathroom and got shut down every time. At the end of the year, Katie asked one more time to go to the bathroom. The teacher said no. Katie asked another time 5 minutes later. The teacher said no again. 5 minutes after that, Katie asked again, but said that the teacher was not going to like what happened if the teacher didn't let her go. The teacher hit the roof and said that if she said one more thing, Katie would be sent to the principal. Katie shrugged and said, "This is on you then," and hissed on her seat, right where she was. The teacher sent her to the principal, who called her parents, one of which was a urologist. Her father yelled at the principal. The teacher ended up in deep shit. According to other kids, she never denied another kid the bathroom again. Katie was a ducking legend. Year 10, head boy has to be picked England, and it's picked by vote. It's a year group of about 150 students. So we had the obvious, popular, well-liked by everyone kids. We had the popular lads, the football captain and the sophisticated, obvious choice. Me and my little posse of in-betweeners, I suggest duck that. We pick one guy from the Forgotten Kids Club, let's call him Carl. This guy has pretty below average grades, not a lick of athletic ability and his social abilities. Well, he's part of a group of kids that stays behind and spends lunch in the teacher's class because he got bullied so bad on the schoolyard. Carl found himself named head boy to his absolute shock due to the minority being united and the knobheads all split and vying for position. He was a good dude as well, really committed himself to it. His grades improved, he became a better speaker, the lad glowed up considerably, and by the end of year 11 we had a whole army of people carrying him down the street for the final end of exam celebration. We would just sing his praises despite not knowing him that well, and it just caught on. Big dig move, I know, but we did genuinely like him and thought it would be good for him. I like to take credit for suggesting the whole movement, but really it was just a testament to how one downtrodden dude can rise to the occasion and became an absolute ducking ambassador for an entire school. He won over everyone. Dude was impossible to hate. Joe Sticka, class of 1969 at my HS. The guy didn't exist. He was created by a group of my friends as a mid-year transfer student with a totally fabricated deep background that was so smooth Joe even made the yearbook with a picture unavailable caption. He cut his thumb off on a third-floor window 5 minutes before final bell and buses. Getting all of us locked in the school of an hour as the ambulance arrived took him away and the school cleaned everything up. There was this one sophomore who had a goose for a pet. He lived kinda close so he could walk to school, and he'd always let his goose walk with him. We all called him Goose, and he was a really nice guy to hang with. Even the teachers liked petting his goose. One time he was at school when one of the teachers who wasn't chill with his pet came out and started yelling at him about the goose, and he got a detention somehow. The next day, the same teacher wasn't in class. We find out at a small assembly at the end of the day that Goose had let his goose run around the classroom last night, and apparently the teacher was still there grading, and got a beak to the head. No one messed with him for the rest of school year. Edit, thanks for the awards, holy crap. Snorted a whole line of crushed red pepper and spent the rest of the day locked in a bathroom stall coughing his lungs out. We used to have team dinners for our basketball team to bond in season or whatever. My junior year we went to Olive Garden and convinced our 6'11" senior center that $50 was a fair price to snort a full line of salt. It took less than 10 seconds for his nose to start bleeding and another 30 seconds for him to run outside and start puking right outside the front door. We were asked not to come back again. Had a girl in high school get super drunk at a party and she shit her pants really badly in front of everyone. Her last name had the word tank in it already, so this legend was pushed to the next level after that night. I don't remember a ton from high school, but I remember the fucking tank. There was this girl Kelly who was very tiny, quiet and seemingly well-mannered. Very unassuming girl, I don't think anyone knew who she was, big school, until she was escorted off campus by the police for stealing the credit card information of 14 students and going on a shopping spree. She disappeared for a year before somehow being allowed back in for her senior year. Instead of being a pariah, this girl somehow became a damn meme. Free Kelly posters would pop up with her mugshot on them. Her name was incorporated into chants used at football games like she was a weapon that could be used against the opposing team, and she was at the top of everyone's party invite list. During gym class we noticed people's change and stuff would go missing here and there, as it was a British school with uniforms and blazers etc. Someone left their iPod recording in their blazer pocket and we caught the girl who'd been stealing our change red-handed LMAO. It was so crazy BC she was like the richest kid, she was actually a semi-successful child actor who'd been in several shows. Our history teacher was ex-military, and he was absolutely jacked. Like this guy would bike 10 miles every morning to school, kept an ab roller in his classroom, would eat salads and beans for lunch every day, the whole shebang. Anyway, one day he gives our class a pop quiz. Jeff, the strongest, biggest guy in my class, goes up to him and asks if I can punch you in the stomach and make you flinch. The entire class gets a 100 on the quiz. My teacher took him up on it. He prepared himself, and Jeff absolutely drills him in the stomach. Our teacher did not flinch. We still had to take the quiz, but Jeff went down in history as the guy who punched a teacher, and the teacher went down in history as a guy you don't want a ducking mess with. So my school was essentially divided into a middle school and a high school, in different locations but very much one school. When you finished year 9 you started year 10 at the upper high school. So we were in year 9 and this one kid had somehow got into beef with this kid in year 11, so from the upper high school. A year 9 kid is supposed to be what? 13 or 14? And a year 11 kid is 15 or 16. So there was a sizable age gap between these two guys. I don't actually know how these two managed to get into beef being at two different locations, but they managed it, and the year 11 kid was like, Friday after school I'm gonna come down to your middle school and beat the shit out of you. Year 9 kid was like, no problem buddy. So the day comes and everyone's getting ready for this fight. It's all anybody talks about all day. School is done and everybody gathers to see what happens. Teachers have caught wind of what's going down and they're posted at the gates holding the year 11 kid back. The year 9 kid finds out that his opponent is being prevented from entering the school grounds, so what does he do? He runs a cool 150 meters towards the gate, knocking people over left and right. There was a huge crowd around both guys trying to defuse the situation, before ripping his shirt off like goddamn Hulk Hogan and beating the ever-loving shit out of the year 11 kid. He ragdolled that dude so goddamn bad. Nobody ever ducked with him again. People were legit terrified of him. The thing that made it so legendary is that the older kid thought he was hot shit, came down to the school like he was gonna do something, and this kid whips his shirt off like a ducking superhero and wrecks him. What I will add is that the year 9 kid was supernaturally strong. It didn't make any sense. He was strong in a way that seemed odd. We had a weight room and he could put up way more weight than anyone else. He would play or fight with teachers and manhandle them. He had transferred in from a school in Jamaica, so at the time of the fight nobody knew he was that strong. And also looking back there's a good chance he was like 17 lol edit. The younger dude was not thin. He was kinda chubby but also quite built, I guess an average height for his age, but still shorter than the other kid. Reddit really loves a skinny guy shows big muscle bound dude what real strength is story, and I'm very sorry but this is definitely not that. The high school was near both a grocery store and a Petco, so someone bought sugar, a loaf of bread, and 100 crickets. They soaked the bread in sugar water, tossed it up into the drop ceiling, and let the crickets out into the ceiling as well. They bred like crazy and the chirping was constant and echoed into the loudest possible burring noise I've ever heard. Some dude dropped a XXL Tyrannosaurus bigger than my damn forearm. Thing was at least 12 long and 3.5 thick. Looked like a grown silverback gorilla with serious constipation pinched loaf in that poor crapper. The first guy to see it was a small Latino kid who came into class laughing and was like, yo, someone took a huge sheet in the bathroom. It's like a big burrito man. Naturally this led to most of the school's male population to crowd into the bathroom to witness the monster. Someone even tried flushing it but the damn thing didn't budge. Janitorial staff had to shut down the bathroom for most of the day after that. TLDR. Godzilla Dookie puts bathroom out of commission and becomes local legend. So, legend in this case means ducking lunatic. He took the teacher's thermos from the back of the room, not knowing it was hers. He goes to the bathroom with the thermos. Comes back with the thermos. She says, oh, you found my thermos? Great, thanks. Just put it on my desk. He does, and then walks out of the room wordlessly. She opens the thermos in confusion. He sheet in the thermos. Not school legends, but rather became known as school dickheads. A couple of kids decided one night to enter the school and hill all the chickens and ducked with one of the cows. An actual school legend was a guy who got access to a teacher's laptop and managed to copy all the answers for the final math tests for all the kids in their last year of high school. Unfortunately his efforts were in vain as another student told the teachers about this and the kid got expelled. He did end up landing a job at Java last I heard though. This guy never lost a wrestling match. Ever. Local, state, national champ as a sophomore. He was amazing. My high school had about 220 total students in the middle of ducking nowhere, Oregon, and this 98-watt ball of muscle and hustle was getting TV crews to come out and film us practicing and sheet. Edit, wanted to add he was really cool guy and earned everything he got with the work he put in. Not a lot of guys I can say earned my respect in high school, but he certainly did. She didn't become legendary until after high school. Senior year prom queen, very active in Christian clubs on campus, student leader of the dance team, always had a reputation for being a goody-goody, and very popular because of her looks. Went to New York after high school to make it on Broadway. Didn't happen. 2 years later moved to Las Vegas and became a top pawn star. Needless to say, very legendary at high school reunions. There were definitely a few of those in my high school. This guy I know through mutual friends walked into the school during summer while it was under construction. I guess one of the guys working left it unlocked. He smoked a blunt all the way up to the principal's office where $27,000 was sitting. Even though they took him to court he was able to keep the money. Another one was this absolute idiot, who walked into school one day with a Louis Vuitton tattoo on his forehead. He genuinely thought people would think it's awesome. He got relentlessly clowned. Found out a year after he graduated he murdered his girlfriend, so he was an idiot and a piece of shit. There was this kid who almost got jumped in the hallway for a reason which would take too long to explain, but he pulled 2 hammers out of his bag and just started swinging. A security guard with Marine training caught his arm mid-swing, with the hammer pointed to the sky. The photo of it was going around with people photoshopping lightning and Thor apparel on him before even 10 minutes went by. The fourth one was a genuine legend. This kid was the nicest dude you could ever meet, with no reason to be. His dad was such a piece of shit he went to court and got emancipated. But every day he came to school and would just help everyone, from teachers to students. Just a constant stream of charity came out of him. He was probably the most liked kid in the entire school, as well as the most popular. His dream was literally to either become a NASA scientist or a priest in the army, just to show you this kid's mind. Well, one day since he was in ROTC he was coming back from dropping his girlfriend off after they went to the military ball. His car malfunctioned on the highway and he crashed into the guardrail, dead on impact. The student body put together memorials and dedications all over town. The kid was actually my best friend in grammar school, but after I moved away for a few years we fell off. I still have the copy of Super Mario Bros. He gave me so we could play together because he knew my family didn't have money. Anyway, the kid is what I consider an absolute legend. We had a school music festival one year and my band played it. Being a bunch of horny 17-18-year-old dudes with raging hormones, of course we had a song about sex and the chorus was "'Cause all you wanna do is duck." The chorus repeats that line for about 4 or 5 times each round of the chorus and we play the chorus 3 times. It's our turn to play and we get about 4 songs into our set before this song comes up. We've got a decent crowd of a couple hundred kids in front of the stage moshing and whatnot. Other kids and administrators are sprinkled across the field watching the show. Now we can't yell duck at a school-sponsored event, so the first run of the chorus our singer says the line but holds the mic out to the crowd and gets our friends to yell duck. By the end of the first chorus about 1/3 of the crowd joins in on the call and response and you can clearly see from the stage that there is a buzz in the crowd about getting to yell duck. Next run of the chorus the whole crowd of kids are yelling it and it gets picked up by the PA. By the third chorus it's so loud that it's getting blasted across the football field and the administrators can't do a thing about it but sit and watch. We heard about that for months after the festival. Some of the teachers gave us props for pulling that one off simply because it got the admin so hissed. In my first year of high school, someone ran for student body president and covered the entire school with posters saying "Vote for name. He's a cunning linguist." By the end of the first day all the posters were down and he was told he was no longer allowed to run in student council elections. He won as a write-in candidate, but was not allowed to serve. Legend. Well, we had one legend in high school, star goalie on the school and town hockey teams. Guy actually played some NHL games for the Canucks, until his back got wrecked by a cheap hit. He got a settlement, so, all good. But, what made him the legend was that he was Shoresy, from Letterkenny, both cruel and hilarious at the same time. But, he was capable of accepting both being beaten verbally, and the physical beatdowns that came with his chirping. I had a tiny bit of rep just because I could, on occasion, match insults with him. The other legend was a geography teacher. Chuck was an awesome guy, but, every year, for the Christmas assembly, he'd do a skit. The year Thriller came out, he came out and did MJ's whole dance, moonwalk and all. It was epic. There was this one kid in my grade who got expelled for a year. One day in Spanish class, he and his class went down the hall to another room for a quiz. Once they were done, they started to make their way down the hall back to their classroom. This kid and his friend were the last 2 in the line. The kid in question gets back to the classroom first while the other lags behind. Now, the movie Waiting just came out and he has seen it. He decides this is the absolute perfect time and place to pull the goat on his buddy, i.e., bending over and tucking your gonads behind your legs so your ass and gonads are in plain view and tricking your friend into seeing it. He walks faster than his bud to get to the classroom before him, and in front of everybody else who are still getting seated, pulls down his pants and sets himself up for the prank. Unbeknownst to him, his buddy thinks, "Oh shit, I forgot my homework in my locker. I'm already in the hallway so I might as well U-turn and get it while I'm here." Since the teacher had to stay behind to lock up after the students left the spare room, she was behind his buddy. So here comes a super religious woman in her 60s, takes one step into the room and sees the goods this kid is sporting right in front of the rest of the classroom. He eventually came back the year after that, so I don't know what kind of arrangement could have possibly been made to make that happen. There was a guy in the year above who got 5 different girls pregnant during the summer holidays. They were all in my year. 2 of them fought during geography, a full-on, screaming catfight, pulling hair, everything. They had to be separated by our teacher and head of year. At the time, nobody knew they were pregnant or this guy had done the deed. We didn't even know about the other 3 girls. It all came out because of that fight and he became a legend for it, especially among the boys at school. We had a carbon monoxide leak at my high school one day in which the entire school was evacuated to the football field. The leak was taking so long to fix that eventually local news cameras started showing up. At about the 3-hour mark of waiting on the football field, one of the seniors ran naked across the entire length of the football field, in front of the entire school. He ran straight at the cameras that were pointed at the field, hopped the fence, and ran across a busy intersection, butt is naked. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. Every single person, including the teachers, was laughing hysterically. Kid became a legend that day for sure. There was one teacher that was crazy hated because she refused to let anybody have fun, so one day the kid sitting next to me, we'll call him Dave, is on his phone and the teacher, Gorilla, says get off your phone, it's distracting you from your education. Keep in mind this is a smart kid and he is done with his work for the day, as this was in our last period. Dave looks up at her, smirks, and goes back to playing PVZ. Heroes, no joke. Gorilla becomes upset and completely embarrasses him in front of the whole class. This is why you have 2 missing assignments and we needed an intervention with your parents. Judging by the fact that I could hear them scream at you as soon as you left the building, I'm guessing they weren't happy. Get off your phone, it's making you lose educational time. He responds by aggressively digging through this bag. What are you doing? Gorilla asks, looking for who the duck cares. Dead silence for about 7 seconds before all the guys in the room burst out laughing hysterically, and the teacher just looks flabbergasted. She sent him to the office and when he returned to get his stuff, he gave her a death stare and a smug look. Best thing ever. The high school legend was actually our AP Spanish teacher. He was challenged by the school athletics director for a bench pressing competition. Both were in shape. Spoiler alert, the Spanish teacher won. Got stabbed for supporting a person much lower on the social ladder in school, lit an SUV on fire out front of the school, and even though he was the protector of the non-cool kids, I once watched him pick up a guy over his head and pull him down over his shoulders. It's a wrestling move I'm sure, but I'm not familiar. Guy was okay, didn't want to play thug after that. He was a pretty chunky but powerful dude. Part wild man, part savior. The kind of guy that said hello to the police at the school when everyone else would avoid them. Being a legitimate psychopath, but also voted the best looking boy in school every year. I think 25% of the school had a crush on him, but if you talked to him for more than 15 minutes you knew that something was legitimately off with the dude. His achievements: stuck a pencil in the sprinkler in the bathroom and set off the fire alarm. The whole school had to be evacuated and I'm not sure what happened to him. Multiple suspensions for countless fights. One time he got in a fight with another kid from school who hit him in the face with a baseball bat. Had to have facial reconstructive surgery and half of his face was paralyzed. Unscrewed the doorknobs and removed them from multiple classrooms while everyone was at lunch. Constantly a complete asshole to every teacher in every class, and not in a funny way. Kind of in a creepy, threatening challenge to authority way. He had a personal grievance with my English teacher and ducked with him the most, was probably asked to leave class and sit outside about 50% of the time. Dated a very popular girl 1 year below him for some time. Apparently a very abusive relationship. Her dad tried to run him over with his truck. Apparently had gay sex with another guy, but this might have just been a rumor. I believe it though, because I am a dude and he was one of my childhood friends for a while before I learned to avoid him, and he came off really creepy sometimes. One time, after I literally had not talked to him in years, he randomly invited me to go see a movie with him, one-on-one, and our parents pressured me to go. It was awkward and I thought I was going to die. I'm 100% convinced he was a psychopath. He treated his family like shit and they were all scared of him, and he didn't seem to see anything wrong with it. I also saw him physically abuse his dog at multiple points for almost nothing. At the same time, his personality was very jovial and charming. I don't think he ever ended up going anywhere in life, but if his parents had been Wall Street bankers I could see him being a very successful con artist / serial killer. Edit, just remembered he also called in a bomb threat once because he didn't want to go to school that day. There was a kid in my French class who the teacher was really hard on. He was black and it was obvious that the teacher was racist and treated him differently, always calling on him and picking on him, so he would purposely cause trouble. He'd interrupt with funny jokes and we were all entertained by him. He got kicked out of class a couple of times for interrupting. One French class we were watching a VHS movie and the teacher had made a comment about how she wanted a copy before returning the rental and did anyone know how to do that. She then looked at him, the one black kid in the class, and asked him if he could do it. He said, "What, you think I can do it because I'm black?" She tried to backtrack but he said he could try. So the next French class she asks him about the video. He pulls an entire VCR out of his backpack with the tape stuck in it and puts it on her desk and says, "Well, I can't get it out, so good luck returning that to Blockbuster. My mom wants you to pay for the VCR." The Italian class next door was always asking us what was going on in our class because our teacher was always yelling. Edited to add that she did end up paying for a new VCR since she asked a student to do something illegal.